We hope everyone had a fantastic weekend. You got out, stretched your legs, did a little bit of creating. I myself did a whole lot of creating this weekend. We did some metal stamping, we did some stained glass. We kept ourselves busy and active, which is always good. So today we're going to do some egg dippers. These are great because it's going to utilize your 1/4 inch and your 1/2 inch bracelets. I'm also going to use juniper, and I will introduce myself. For those of you who don't know, I am Rita Panula. I am the design director at ImpressArt. And I'm coming to you again from my home studio here in New York. So we are here for you. So if anything that you want to see or a question you might have, please send us over a private message, a DM on Instagram, or an email. And Jen, myself, any of the girls in customer service would be more than happy to help you out. Okay, so going back to what we're making today, egg dippers. So we're gonna use, like I said, 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 7 inch bracelets. So there are two sizes in bracelet lengths that we have. We have a 6 inch and we have a 7 inch. Today we're gonna utilize the 7 inch. You can do these with a 6 inch bracelet. They're just gonna be a little bit shorter. So today I'm just gonna show you how to do it on the 7 inch bracelets. We're also gonna use the ring bending plier and the bracelet bending plier on the same project. So it's gonna be a lot of clamping, twisting, and forming with your hands. We're also gonna utilize the design stamps in our juniper set. This is a juniper uppercase. We're gonna utilize these beautiful succulent stamps that are the design stamps in the uppercase willow. So for those of you who ordered and received the uppercase willow, we're gonna be using those little succulent stamps in there as well. And then who doesn't like the whimsy heart in Bridget, the uppercase? So we're gonna utilize that also. I'm gonna show you how to stamp using a sticker guide. The enamel, we're gonna color it in. I'm gonna show you how you could actually stamp on one side of the bracelet and texture the opposite side. So when you're turning it and you're dipping your eggs, you'll see you'll get some of that outside pattern and the inside pattern from texturing. We're gonna be using the multifunction hammer for that. Okay, we're also gonna be using, there is a left and a right butterfly stamp. So I'll show you how you could use a sticker guide to line those up so you get them really nice and connecting. And we're going to use one of the flower stamps for a mandala pattern. Okay. And I'm going to use our line stamp that we have. Let's show you how to do a couple of blades of grass. Okay, here we go. And I'm gonna take my ball peen hammer also and add that because we're gonna be utilizing that and my buffing blocks, and I think we are good to go. So when you pull your bracelets out of the packaging, you're going to see that's got a protective coating on it. So with this protective coating, you just want to peel that off. Okay. Peel it off the front. Peel that right off the back. And I like to turn my block in a diamond pattern in front of me so I have a little bit more room to work. So the way I figure it is that you're gonna need about a good 2 inches for the handle, and you're gonna need another 1.5 inches for your name or your child's name. So I'm gonna eyeball it here. Actually, I'm gonna go for more of a 2 inch. Okay, and what I'm going to do first is I'm going to work on the back. I'm going to texture the back first. So I'm going to take my multifunction hammer make sure that my screw is tightened. I'm gonna place that screw in the palm of my hand. I'm gonna turn that over, and I'm gonna hold my bracelet blank down with one finger where I feel comfortable. You could utilize our stamp tape, and you could tape it, but I like to use my finger. So I'm gonna definitely hold it with one finger. And I'm gonna continue to lightly, I'm not gonna be so aggressive with this, because like I said, I just want it to be double side. I want a double side pattern. So I'm gonna lightly ball peen texture this. And if you're tuning in, I'm about to start, well, I started texturing the back of my egg dipper. Now with that texture, that ball peen texture, if you want to come in, I know in the pictures that I have, that Jen has in your newsletter, I put little hearts. And then I continued my texture all the way through. And like I said, you don't have to go too crazy and get these divots too close together. I know I always say that the closer together they look, the nicer a finished piece that you have. But with this is going to be on the back side of your egg dippers. What's nice about these is that you can bring these out every year as part of your decorations. I have them from the last 2 years that I've made them with my daughter. I have them displayed out of a little bunny vase. It's also nice to see how she's progressing with her metal stamping over the years, and also how I've progressed. So I'm just going to do a couple of hearts. What I'm using is our 3mm whimsy heart. Okay, so I'm going to go halfway, fairly good amount down. You could continue, but I'm going to start stamping on the other side now. So I've made my marks. So for my handle. And you're going to see there's some marring from using the texture hammer. But I'm going to show you towards the end how we can really polish that up really nice and pretty, so you won't see those. So I'm going to start with, let's see, I'm going to start with a name. I'm going to use my bracelet sticker guides, just like that. And if you could see that blue line that runs right across that sticker? You're going to make sure that your ends of your metal match up to that line. That's going to assure that you're stamping in the center of that blank. So I'll show you. So I put them down so you could see it from here. That blue line hits the end of that metal right there. You could either do you could do a word, you could do a year. I'm going to take out my heartbreaker numbers. So I'm going to take out my heartbreaker numbers. So now you see that whatever font I'm using in the black case, there are signature sets. So with our signature line, they are rated for stainless. They're a cleaner, sharper stamp. So that's what I'm going to be using today. So I am going to do, let's see. And I'm also going to be using Bridget uppercase. Okay. So I'm going to write on my sticker. And now it's an uppercase font. So remember, you want to utilize either the orange or the black hash lines on your sticker. So I'm going to do Easter. 2020, just to show you how the numbers look. And the good thing about these stickers is that you can move them around. So let's say you didn't want to start it there and you wanted to start it a little bit down, further down. You would just move your sticker. Because I always like to change my mind at the last minute. So utilizing moving those stickers really works to my favor. Okay, so I'm going to start with my E. Again, when you're stamping with our product, you always want to make sure that the ImpressArt is facing you. That's how you know you're stamping in the right direction. You're going to place it flat. Lightly drag it so it's lined up. Take your hammer, give it a nice tap. So with these signature sets, they are nice and sharp, so you don't have to really be aggressive with your stamps. Lightly drag it. Now sometimes with the stickers, you know, you go over. You might have the problem where you're going over, because I see that I just got a question. So how to not go over the sticker guide is, if you're placing them down flat, your stamps down flat, and lightly dragging, you should feel that restriction in that with the tape. It creates a ledge. If you try placing it down flat and lightly tilting it towards you, so you're letting the edge of that stamp catch that sticker guide, you shouldn't go over it. So again, place it flat, lightly tip it towards you if you're having a problem feeling that restriction of that sticker guide. And then I'm going to continue. Perfect. I'm going to pull my sticker off. Love the way it looks. Now you're also going to notice that sometimes it gives a little bit of a bevel. Gets a little wonky towards the end. I'm going to show you how you could come back in with your multifunction hammer with a nylon head and just really tap that all down so it stays nice and straight. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to take my sticker guide and put it back. I want to use my butterfly stamp, and I want to really just encase that Easter 2020 with the wings. So I'm going to start with my right wing first, and this is the left and right of the butterfly stamps, okay? So I'm going to use my wing. I'm going to put that right, line that up, right where my orange hash mark is. And with the 6mm stamp, I'm going to do tilt and tap. So I'm, again, going to place this down lightly, lightly drag it. When I feel that restriction in that tape, I'm just going to hit it once, give it a tap, front, back, side, side. And that's going to be our butterfly wing. I'm going to do the same thing here. Lightly drag it down, line that up. Going to hit it once, back, forward, side, side. And that's going to make sure that all of my detail on the wings is going to come out on my bracelet blank. So then I could pull that off and you could see how nice. So now my Easter 2020 is encased by 2 butterfly wings. And now I'm going to, let's see what I have. I'm going to use some of those succulent stamps that I was telling you about that come they're so nice and they're very fine and thin. The lines are just really beautiful. So these succulent design stamps that I'm going to use are in the Willow font. the uppercase. So here, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna ever so slightly use the bracelet blank and line up my design stamp to the edge of it. I'm gonna give it one hit, and I'm just gonna lightly tap it and tilt it all four sides so I get a nice and clean impression. I'm gonna use the flower. I like to overlap stamps. I think it looks really pretty that way. I also like to utilize my period stamp, just like this. And I like to fill in the areas on the bottom of my designs. And I like to hit them with different force. So I might hit one heavy and then one with a medium tap. And what that does, that creates different line weights. And it fills in the negative areas and just gives it a little bit of something. Just like that. I'm going to continue. And feel free, to turn your design stamps. The ImpressArt doesn't always have to be facing you when you're stamping. You could also utilize different design stamps, different letters to have different effects. So let's see what I have here that I could show you. So I'm going to use my heartbreaker, my numbers. I'm going to use the number 1. And I'm just going to go in between my design stamps at different lengths and make it look like grass. And then bring my period stamp up a little bit. Then I'm going to use my flower from Bridget. And give it one hit. And I just like to do a little bit of a tilt and tap so you see all of that detail that comes out in that stamp. A couple more dots. And you don't always have to use the entire design stamp. So let's see if you see this one right here. That's the entire design stamp. I'm only going to use half of it. So half of that design stamp looks like grass, looks like seagrass. So I'm going to utilize that through my pattern. I'm going to come back in here and use half of my stamp. And when you're using half of the stamp, you just want to do it, you want to hit it ever so lightly. Gives it that effect of different layers of grass through your project. And I'm going to use my 1 as a stem. Give it a couple of nice light taps, and you're going to see how nice and thin. Let's see if I could show you what that looks like. You could see there's a flower, and there's that number 1 stamp. And then I'm going to come back in with some more grass. Using half of my stamps to create that look. And again, I'm using a mixture of design stamps from our font sets. So I'm using the succulent stamps from our uppercase willow. I'm using the number 1 from Heartbreaker and some design stamps out of Bridget. And I'm also actually going to bring in some design stamps from Juniper. I'm just coming in with a couple of little period from the dot stamp, just a couple of little dots. And when I color this in, you'll see how that looks. I'm also going to come in with the butterfly from Bridget. And again, just giving it a couple of taps so I really get my impression in there. And I'm going to utilize the rest of that blank with grass. So you're doing a little scene. Now, in the email, the one that I did was using our ultra detail flowers. But this is just flowers that I've had at home that I have in different font sets. So again, I'm using uppercase Willow, which is a 4mm font. I'm using uppercase Bridget, which is 3mm. The design stamps in there. And I'm also using Juniper, which is 3mm in the uppercase. And that's where that beautiful little butterfly came in. I'm also using the butterfly wings, the left and the right. So I'm just gonna take my texture hammer. And do you see where there's a space on each side? I'm gonna give it a little bit of texture, not too much. Just to give it a little something. And I'm gonna come around and just texture the outskirts of my blank. It's gonna give it a little diamond cut effect. And what I'm working on is an egg dipper, for those who just tuned in. And I'm utilizing the 1/4 inch, 7-inch bracelet blank. So they're nice and long. Okay, and I'm just gonna continue my patterns with some flowers. Again, using my number 1 stamp from my Heartbreaker font as stems. So basically what I'm doing, I'm just trying to utilize everything I have at home. Like I said before, you don't always have to use the entire design stamp. You could always hang half of it off. Of your blank, only utilizing the tips of it. So I'm utilizing half of the top half of these succulent stamps from Willow. really alternating it. Then coming back and using my dot stamp just to fill in some of the negative areas, the empty areas that you have on your metal. I feel like it just gives it a little something. And if you notice, my bracelet's getting a little wonky. I'm going to show you how you could fix that. And remember, there's no reason to be super aggressive with these signature sets. They are rated for stainless steel, so they are very sharp. I'm going to come in with my butterfly again. I'm going to use half of my succulent stamp to create some grass on the bottom of these. You could also use your number 1 from your heart beaker. For some grass. You could also come back in with, for those of you who have this at home, this is the line stamp. You could come in and also use that as well. I know on Friday, we're going to be going over doing scenes using your design stamps. So I'm excited for that. Now, for those of you at home that have the crystal setter, you could definitely utilize the crystal setter and this is what in your designs as well. Again, you can only utilize the top half of your succulent stamp and it gives it a nice grass look. So instead of stamping the full impression, you hang half of your stamp off of your bracelet blank and it gives it layers of grass, which looks so nice. Then I'm going to come back in and just give a couple of light taps on my dot stamp just to fill up that negative space and give it a little something. So you notice sometimes I'm hitting it a little bit more aggressive than others. I'm just getting a variety of impressions with my dots. Continue my grass. I'm going to bring in my dots right in that negative area. I'm going to lightly tap it. Then I'm going to give it a little bit more of a tap. And then very little. And that's going to create different weights on those dots that I made. So if you notice how it sort of gets really wonky over here like I was talking about before, let me find... Okay, so you're going to always be able to come back and really flatten that out. Okay, but you know what? Let me come back in with a little bit of texture up top like I did previously. And when you're texturing, you could feel free to really use your finger to hold your bracelet, or you can use our stamp tape. And I would just give it a little bit of a diamond cut all around that bracelet, because when you polish that up after, it gives it a really nice look. And you're going to see, as I was talking to you before, the marring, when you're filling that up and you're designing and you're putting your grass in and you're utilizing your dot stamps with that negative space, you could see that it somewhat does get covered. But you could see that it still leaves that impression in the back. So you still have that ball peen, you still have your little mini hearts on there. Let me grab my head. Hold on one second. The second best thing to utilize is the back of your brass head hammer. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to place it down. I'm going to favor it like it's a rainbow, okay? So I'm going to place that on my block. I'm going to take the back of my hammer and I'm going to give it a couple of nice hits. And you're going to see that it straightens it out. So if you don't have that nylon head with your texture hammer, so it comes in a kit, if you don't have that head, you could always use the back side of your hammer to knock that straight. Now, what I was saying before, so you have a little bit of marring, and how we could get rid of that marring is by using the medium grit on your buffing block. So I'm just going to take it and give that a nice light sand. Okay. Now I'm taking a paper towel and I'm just, there's a little bit of metal dust, so I'm just cleaning it off. Okay, so you can see there's very minimal marring now, okay? So that is using the medium portion of it. Okay, and I'm just cleaning off that metal dust. And you can see just with the paper towel how beautifully it's shining already, okay? So just a paper towel. Then gonna take my enamel marker and I'm going to color it in. I'm going to run it right over my impressions and really get that in there. When you have a piece that has so much detail in it, you might have to come back and apply the enamel again. I'm going to make it messy and then lightly wipe. Look how beautiful that came out. And I'm going to turn it over. And lightly wipe. I'll come in back through my Easter, just because I feel like I missed a couple of pieces. Lightly dab it, dry paper towel, lightly wipe. So with troubleshooting this marker, there's always, I always get the question that the ink isn't staying in the impression when they wipe it off. If your ink isn't staying in the impression, is because the impression isn't deep enough, okay? Or you are wiping it too quickly. So like I said, really dab it. I'm going to go over it with you guys again. So let's cover it. Okay. I always like to say, make it messy before beautiful, right? So really just blot it and then lightly wipe. And then you could see how that looks. You could also take your super fine buffing block and really give it a nice shine. And now for the part that everybody's been waiting for. We're gonna bend it. We're gonna bend it using our bracelet and ring bending plier. So let's start with the bracelet. So what you're gonna do is that you're gonna come in and you're gonna make sure that you're feeding the bracelet into the jaws of the plier with your impression facing you. All your impressions that you've stamped facing you. You're gonna take it, give it a nice curve to it, right up until here where we marked when we first started. When you have that nice curve, remember I said before there's gonna be a lot of bending here. You're going to take your ring bending plier now, and you're not going to press down on it all the way, okay? You're just going to use it ever so slightly. See how that is bending? I'm not closing the jaws completely. I'm just bending it slightly, okay? Then I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna bring it out, okay? And you're gonna see I'm gonna have a really nice handle to dip, okay? Then I'm gonna come down here and I'm going to just bring it forward and give it a little twist, okay? See how I'm bringing my plier and I'm twisting my bracelet. So my plier is coming to me. I'm pushing my plier to me and I'm pushing with my other hand. I'm taking the bracelet and I'm just twisting it. So you see it's creating that curve in that bracelet blank, okay? And then I'm going to take it and I'm gonna continue my curve all around. So you're gonna have something like this. So it's going to be curved, a little twisted, and it's gonna come around. Then what I want you to do is you're gonna come back in with your ring bending plier, just like we built that handle. We're gonna curve that, okay? Just like that. And you're just gonna bend it. Gonna curve it again. And you're gonna take your ring bending plier and pull that out. So it's a lot of forming, a lot of playing with your pliers. And a lot of forming with your hands. So that is gonna create your egg dipper. Now, if you're using jumbo eggs, you're obviously going to make this part a little bit longer. But what I suggest doing is take one that you're not stamped on, or maybe a scrap that you have in the house, and bend that first and make sure that it fits the size of your eggs, okay? So that is the egg dipper. And you could, you could go a little bit bigger. You can you know, make the handle a little bit nicer. You could curve it completely in and make a handle like that, you know, which is really nice as well. Now, you could also use the 1/2-inch bracelets, 7-inch long. These are also really nice. Okay, and this is going to give you more stampable surface than the 1/4-inch bracelets will give you, but they'll come out just as nice. So I'm going to go through again how to bend it. I know that I was off camera a little bit. Just need you to bear with me because I can't really see what I'm doing. So I will start again. So I am going to bend another one for you. So I'm going to start with my ring bending plier. Okay. And I'm going to not squeeze it completely. I'm just going to use those jaws to give it a nice curve. Okay. If I was squeezing it completely, you know, it would be closed shut, and that gives it a more of a dramatic angle. Okay. Then I'm just going to come back in with my ring bending plier. Just straighten that out a little bit. Give that a little bit more of a curve. Okay. Then I'm going to come back here and I'm going to squeeze it, but I'm going to bring it up slightly. Okay. Give it a little curve in that middle. Just like that. So you're curving here. It gives it a really nice shape. And then I'm going to, again, take my ring bending plier and apply pressure. But I'm not going to close my ring plier. I'm just gonna lightly form it using those jaws. I could come back in with my ring and reshape that, with my bracelet, I'm sorry, and reshape that. And I'm just gonna bend it up. And like I said, when you're forming metal, you can form it, and then if you don't like it, you could come back in with the other set of pliers and really pay a little bit more attention to the curvature if you'd like. It's really just to show you that, you know, you can use your ring bending pliers for a variety of things, and your bracelet bending pliers. So there you go. Okay guys, so today we utilized the 7-inch bracelet blanks. We did a 1/4-inch bracelet. You could also use the 1/2-inch bracelet. On your newsletter that you should have received, or an email reminder for the Facebook Live, that bracelet was done with a 1/2-inch bracelet. Today we used 1/4-inch, and just make sure that they're 7-inch bracelet blanks. You could use the 6, they're just going to be a little bit smaller. We used our signature stamps. We used Willow today, our uppercase, and we utilized all of the design stamps. In that set, we utilized Bridget uppercase with the wording on our egg dipper. just make sure that you're out and you're crafting. If you're a maker, we would love to see what you're making. We really support really being creative and getting out of your comfort zone and using your stamps in ways that you really use them before. Like today we created a scene on a bracelet blank using a number stamp and design stamps and only using half a stamp. So really get out of this is the perfect time while you're home to really focus on learning your tools, learning your stamps, and thinking out of the box with them. We really hope that you continue to create. We want to see what you're making. I want you to hashtag us at hashtag ImpressUs on Instagram or Facebook and let us see what you're making. Again, we'd love to see it. We want to support you as much as we can. We want to see how you're supporting your family and your community at this time, whether you're making encouraging bracelets or key rings and handing them out, or you're a maker and you're doing a fundraiser. We would love, love, love to see those products. We're also going to be talking a little bit about becoming an entrepreneur, using your stamps to make a little bit of money. We would love to hear questions that you might have pertaining to that. You can send us a private message. You could DM us on Instagram. You could send us an email. And next week, we're going to do a couple of Facebook Lives and Instagrams just addressing some of the questions that you have. How to get started, or maybe about pricing, or any kind of question you might have. Please feel free to reach out to us and ask, and we'll do our best to have those lives and have that dialect and have that communication with you to further help you be successful. All right? So I hope everybody is healthy and well and practicing social distancing like we at ImpressArt are. But please stay in contact with us, ask us questions, let us know what we could do for you. That's what we're here for. That's what these Facebook Lives are all about. So any kind of technique or something that you're looking for, or if you're uneasy using a bracelet bending plier and a bar together, please reach out and let us know. This is the perfect time for us to come and educate you on how to use the tools properly, or even if there's a look that you want to achieve and you don't know how, send us a message and we'll be more than happy to answer it. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your Monday, and I will see you tomorrow on Instagram at 1 o'clock, and we'll be talking tools. Thanks so much. Have a good day.